Welcome back to the Global Business Report on Rise News. We had a guest on from Kenya yesterday where we talked about a number of things, including Kenya's flower industry being one of the country's top foreign exchange earners. Now, those familiar with the sector know how highly the Kenya's output rose regarding, its quality. Now, this stems from natural advantages such as the country's geographical positioning aside the equator. Kenya, Ethiopia, Ecuador, Colombia are the four best spots for producing flowers naturally. But what about Nigeria? Well, we have, of course, with us Favour Ogunniranye, who is an analyst with Financial Derivatives Company Limited. Talk about the global financial, flower industry. Favour, you're very, very welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. What are the drivers for the compound annual growth rates of horticulture globally? How do you see that, the sector?
Thank you for having me, Rotus. First of all, I want to explain floriculture and horticulture. So floriculture is a branch of horticulture, and it pretty much focuses on flower farming. So it focuses on the production of flowers, and including potted plants, bedded plants, and cut flowers. And then over the years, we've seen that this industry has actually witnessed significant growth. And I mean, if you just look at what this product or commodity actually represents, that alone is driving the annual demand steadily, coupled with the Western influence and also modernization, the role it has to play as well. And then, so yes, there's a projection of a compound annual growth rate of about 6 to 8%, I guess. And by 2025, so the market size is expected to increase to about $53 billion, and which is expected to be driven by an increased use of biotechnology. So biotechnology is used by growers to develop and breed new varieties of flowers. They can be used to change the color, and that can increase the demand for uniquely colored flowers. And they also help flowers to survive harsh climatic conditions. And then you also have the cold storage technology, which is expected to drive the industry as well, because these flowers are perishable and they're required to be stored in a cold room type of thing. And usually people go for a refrigerated cargo plane. But then there is also waterways, which is quite kind of less expensive, and so that will help growers or people industry kind of manage their cost of transportation. And then you also have the growing online sales and growing urban population, which is also which are the catalyst for the growth projection.
Great stuff. Now, as with all these figures you've thrown forward and very well explained, there still looks like there's been a shortage as far as the industry is concerned of supply. Can we blame that on the pandemic?
Yeah, well, the pandemic really had this role to play because, the pandemic shut down so many businesses. The economy was kind of paused, sort of, and the flower business was not excluded because the reduced demand due to cancelled events, weddings. I mean, there were some weddings, but it was pretty much indoors, sort of. So the demand really dropped, and that negatively affected businesses. And we saw that some growers were actually forced to destroy millions of flowers due to that reduced demand. So, and as a result of that, most of them are being cautious for their production volume. So even though we are seeing the effects of the pandemic subsidizing due to the increased vaccination rates, we still have climate change issues, which is also affecting the industry, because for flowers that are grown in an open field, they are subject to these issues, which will affect production, they will affect the color development and all of that.
Fantastic. Now, got to get to Nigeria. I guess when you talk about Africa's giants, you expect that we're, have a competitive advantage in certain sectors, but Nigeria is a fringe player compared to the Kenyas and, Colombias of the world. Why is that?
For talking about Kenya, it's really not just the floriculture industry. Even the horticulture sector as well is really booming. Is one of their top ways of getting foreign exchange. I mean, in 2020, Kenya exported about 1.37 billion worth of horticultural products. And in terms of flowers, they are a top exporter of flower. And the reason for East African countries like Kenya and Ethiopia, they have that favorable climate condition because their position, their proximity to the equator helps with all of that. And But meanwhile, for Nigeria, the horticultural, floriculture sector is quite untapped. And I mean, I think the only flower that is actually cultivated for export is the hibiscus flower. And I mean, it can be processed for cold or hot beverages and all of that. And the only way Nigeria can thrive in the booming floriculture industry, they will need a good irrigation system. They will need good cold storage facilities. But all of that is still difficult because we have to experience like an inconsistent power supply and even inefficient transportation system from like the farms to the seaports or to the airports. So all of that is constraining the industry here in Nigeria.
Great stuff. But are there any ways that I guess Nigeria can benefit from the industry? And maybe this is a prior answer. What kind of threats to companies that would participate? What kind of threats do they face?
For Nigeria, apart from selling the flower itself to consumers, we also see that these flowers can be, essential oils can be extracted from them. And these essential oils are things that are used as some sort of flavoring, or they can replace like artificial fragrances in like cosmetic products. And I mean, now they are seeing some sort of craze with like with scented candles and perfume oils. So that's something that, businesses can, tap into. But then with Nigeria, quite import dependent on the commodity. So it's expensive to import it here in Nigeria. I mean, the cost of flowers per shipment has increased by about 400% to like 2.5 million, freight inclusive, compared to like 350 to 400,000 like about a year ago. So I mean, these companies that are coming up to tap into that industry have to they'll be challenged with like the whole currency devaluation thing going on.
So if that's the case, would you say then that there's been, I think it's as a result of that increase in price that demand has suffered for flowers as a result of that?
Definitely, because the cost of getting these flowers will be passed to the consumers as well. So it's expected that the increased price will definitely allow demand to drop. But then, I mean, there are other things that are also growing as well. I mean, price of so many commodities are growing at the same time. So even if yes, we could see that shift in demand, or demand dropping. But flowers are termed like luxury products. So there's also people there that would still, demand these products. So that drop is quite, yeah.
I get you. Favour Ogunniranye, an analyst with Financial Derivatives Company Limited. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about the horticulture, flower industry. And we'll have to see how things progress going into the new year. Thank you so much for your insights.